Hey, good morning, Joel. This is a quick demo video for you for your KR Sabers AS2. This is installed with a Proffie V3 and it's got the Goth Eco crystal chamber chassis. So this was basically the entire kit. I just went ahead and I wired it up for you. So we'll go over everything. There are some particular things about the config I want to talk to you about, as well as just the rest of the Saber. It does take a 7/8 inch blade. You've got that stock PCB in there, and I'll show you that all lit up here in a second. We've got your green and red LED bezels here, and they do light up, so you'll see that when the Saber fires up. A 2-button setup, so if you look closely, you can see that 2 of these bubbles are different colors than the rest. All right, so the one that's closest to the emitter will be your power, and the other one will be your auxiliary over here. So second to last one, and then the one right behind the first one, basically. All right, to get to your chassis, what you want to do is unscrew your pommel. This is a very tight fit, and it will not just slide out of the Saber. All right, so what you want to do is first take that off. You'll see your speaker here. Come over here and very carefully push on this, the top of this PCB. Just push it like that. You'll see your chassis pop out, and you can pull it the rest of the way. All right, so you've got that stock long pin here, connector, and it's got the lens cap over it, so you can go ahead and you can push on that. It's not going to be a big deal. All right, you've got your dual Neopixel accent PCB. That's for that red and green bezel, so that's up here. Of course, you've got your crystal chamber here, so your bottom and top crystals. And then right over here is your kill switch. You do have a removable battery setup. This is the battery that came with your kit. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it in here for you. But you can pop it out by just pushing right here. You can see that right next to the board. You can pop your battery out and pull it out. All right, but we'll just leave it in. You will want to charge that. You asked me to swap out the speaker that came with the kit with a 28mm Smuggler's Outpost speaker. So you have that Elite version right here. And then I've got your other speaker that came with your kit. I just put it in the Smuggler's Outpost case, and that will be in your box. All right. What else we got? We got your Proffie board right up here. This is glued down to the shelf, but you can get to your SD card and your micro USB from right here. Now, I did get all the sound fonts on here that you sent me. You sent me 3, and then you also sent me a config from someone else that you wanted to put on here because you liked the way that the blades and the LEDs were set up. I took a look at that config after I had already wired this guy up, and there were some differences. All right. Basically, you do need to make a config based off how you wire the Saber. On that particular one that you sent me, it had 4 blade styles. You had sub blades for these two Neopixel accents right up here for your red and green, which is something that I did as well. I put my blade on a different MOSFET, which was no big deal. But when it came to the crystals here on the config that you sent me, these crystals were wired together. So they basically did the same thing. When I wired this guy, I wired these crystals to be separate. So this has 5 blade styles per font. What I did, because you like the way the crystals were acting on the other one, I just copied the same blade style for each crystal. All right. But in the future, if you wanted to go back through here and change some things, you can make these crystals do different things from each other on this particular setup. All right, so that's what you've got there. We come over here and flip our kill switch. I can't see her! So you can see how your crystals are in unison. They pulse together and get your red and green bezels going on here. If we wanted to turn on from here, we could. All right, so that's all lighting up. Crystal chamber nice and bright, and of course these do something different when the Saber's on and you have twist off. Now I'm going to turn this off for a second so we can talk about how to put it in. Of course, when you put this in, there's no chassis clocking system until you get back here. You can see this groove right here in the chassis. That is for the screw that's holding your Covertech in place. So what you want to do really is just kind of line up your switches with your control box. All right, so you can see the control box right here makes a straight line over to the switches and just push it straight in from there. And when you're doing that, you'll notice your switch box is in line with this grip, and this grip is in line with the middle of your board, the top of your board right there, if I can focus in on that, it all makes a straight line with each other. All right. When you get to about right here, it's going to be pretty tight. Push it with your fingers, but don't push in the middle of the speaker. Push on the sides. All right. You never want to push on the speaker drum. You'll get to a certain point. It is tight. Well, I forgot to turn the chassis back on. Let's pop it back out real quick. We'll pop it back out. Turn the kill switch on. Now we're good. We'll get it right back to where we were. You don't have to push it all the way in. You can get to about right here, and then you can use the pommel to push it in the rest of the way, because the pommel will push on the sides of the speakers, of the speaker rather, and it won't hurt anything. All right, so you lock it down tight. Now you can see your red and green bezels going. We can come over here and hit power. Now the Saber sounds pretty beefy. Got your LEDs in there firing up. Auxiliary. Whoops. Auxiliary's back here. And you've got twist off. All right, this Saber takes a 7/8 inch blade, and then your blade retention is part of the Saber, which is really nice. You don't need a separate tool. Just make sure we get all the way in there real quick. When you put your blade in, it's this brass piece right here. Just lock it down. All right, that's your blade retention. So now again, we can come over here and hit power. Good flash on fire. Master bolts is just tapping on. Or if you want blade lock up, hold it down and hit the Saber. Now it's right here when you're vertical, and then as you go horizontal, it moves further out here towards the middle of your blade. To play your soundtrack, do a long press on the power. All right, do another long press to turn it off. And then hit auxiliary to go to another sound font.
I'm Anakin Skywalker.
Go to another one. This one was always one of my favorites because it has a very unique hum. Soundtrack for this guy too. Turn this off again. All right, and we'll take our blade out. So simply just unscrew that gold greebly. You can pop your blade out. Mine's pretty tight, but it fits in there fine. And then again, we'll come over here and take our pommel off. Push through the emitter just a hair. And then you can pull it out the rest of the way. And then we'll turn this on. I'll show you the kill switch works. All right, from right here, kills power just like it should. Now you'll see a couple different configs on your SD card. I included the one that you gave me. I put it on there. But then you'll also see one that's called Joel Test _config. That's my own that I built based on how I wired this up. All right, so you won't see any differences when it comes to blades and crystals and LEDs. I just had to do some different things. Then of course, remember, if you want to go back in the future, you can make these act different. And I did label all those so you know what the top crystal is and what the bottom crystal is. All right, but that is basically your KR Sabers AS2. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll get this out in the mail to you Monday morning. Thanks, man.